It's sometimes surprising just what kind of things confuse and mystify people, and apparently one of the biggest problems that some visitors to Germany have is coping with the phone numbers. This is especially difficult for people from North America because the system there is quite a bit different. So, in view of the fact that this is a surprisingly popular search on Google, here is a brief explanation for those who need it. In particular, German phone numbers don't have a fixed length. For example, this is the central number for the Bundestag, whereas this is the number for the press officer of the Mecklenburg-West Pomerania state government. The number is divided into two parts, the area code and the subscriber number. So far so good, but both the area code and the subscriber number can vary in length. When writing down a phone number, there are a couple of different methods in use to separate the two parts. This actually has an advantage. As more and more phones come into use and they start running out of phone numbers, they can simply make new numbers longer without having to change existing phone numbers. And so very short phone numbers are either those that have been in use for a very long time or belong to very big companies or important institutions like the Bundestag. The number for the Bundestag has a 0 at the end, and in writing this is separated from the rest with a hyphen. This means that this is the number for the switchboard. If you happen to know the extension number of the person you want to talk to, you simply replace the 0 with that extension number and get through directly. This is normal practice for very large companies and institutions. All area codes begin with a 0. If you're dialing from one area to another, you don't have to first dial a special code. As soon as you dial a number beginning with a 0, the system automatically knows that it's an area code. But when calling Germany from abroad, you have to omit this 0 and instead dial the international access code and the country code for Germany. For example, if you're in the US or Canada, you first dial 011 to say that you want to dial out of the country, and then you dial the country code for Germany, which is 49. If you're in the UK, the international access code is 00, and then that's followed by the code for Germany. And this is where it genuinely gets confusing, because each country has its own code to access the international network. And so an alternate way of writing down international phone numbers is like this, with the plus sign as a placeholder for the international access code of the country you're dialing from. If you're phoning from within Germany, you don't have to dial the country code, but you do have to remember to include the 0 in the area code. So some people will write telephone numbers in this format. If you're in Germany, you dial the 0 but nothing before it. If you're phoning from outside of Germany, you dial the international access code and the country code but not the 0. As confusing as this is, modern technology comes to the rescue. When adding phone numbers to your mobile phone's address book, use the international format with the plus sign and the country code. And then, no matter where you are in the world, your phone will automatically dial the correct number. Landline numbers have geographical area codes, and even if you don't recognize the individual area code itself, you can still tell roughly where it's located. The exceptions are 0800 for numbers that are free to call and 0900 for premium rate numbers. Codes beginning 01 are not geographical, but they identify a service. Most of them are mobile numbers, and in theory the code will identify the provider. But since it's possible to port your number if you decide to change providers, this isn't completely reliable. All codes that look like this are for mobile numbers. These are more expensive to call, but because you can tell just by looking at them that they are mobile numbers, that's not a problem. Receiving a call on a mobile phone is free if you have a German number and you're in Germany. Codes beginning 0180 indicate shared cost services. And there are other codes reserved for complicated technical things that you don't need to worry about. Finally, there are some special numbers without area codes and all beginning with the number 1. The most important of these, of course, are the 2 emergency numbers, which you should commit to memory and hope you never need to use. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to send me a postcard, here's the address. And don't forget to visit my website and follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Also, if you'd like access to special bonus content and help with the costs of running this channel, please consider making a small monthly donation on Patreon.